Earthquakes by Jason,
Monish,
Kyle,
Kevin,
and Zach.
Imagine you're just sitting on the couch watching TV and suddenly things start to fall off the shelves and the ground starts to shake. This is an earthquake and I think this would be terrifying. Earthquakes can be caused in many different ways, such as stress builds up in the Earth's crust and sends out seismic waves that shake the Earth's surface. Also, plates can hit each other and jolt to cause the ground to shake. I'm realizing that earthquakes happen all the time because of plates colliding. It is also important to see the causes happening, like when fault lines shift and when rocks bend. There are even underwater earthquakes. Those are caused by plates hitting each other, then moving apart from each other. As I say this, I'm realizing that underwater earthquakes trigger tsunamis. Sometimes plates can even get squeezed and stretch. Also, the way places are landscaped can cause earthquakes. Plates can stick together and release seismic waves. Faults are a big factor in causes of earthquakes. Faults are huge cracks in the Earth's surface. A normal fault occurs at divergent boundaries. A reverse fault occurs at convergent boundaries. And strike-slip faults occur when two rocks move past each other. Faults usually occur near plate boundaries, and so do earthquakes.
earthquake effects. Imagine you're walking down the street and suddenly the ground starts shaking. Houses start collapsing. This is an earthquake. It destroys many things. It destroys things such as bridges, houses, buildings, and many other things. Towns may get destroyed. The important thing about this is lives are lost, people are homeless because their houses are destroyed. Pipes start to break, and there might be fires that burn houses and cause deaths. Plants get destroyed, which causes the air to get polluted. The damage may cause the landscape of the place to change. This damage may cost millions of dollars. The ground may split and people may get stuck between Earth's rubble. What surprises me is if earthquakes are bad enough, it might even cause some places to be abandoned for quite a while. I'm realizing that we should help people who are affected by this. This makes me think how bad people are affected by these earthquakes. These earthquakes may even trigger tsunamis if they are in the water. People may get trapped in Earth's rubble for many days. If I was in that situation, I'd be very scared and I would probably be in there for a few days. This is very dangerous to live through. The effect of an earthquake does bad things to the environment by causing landslides and avalanches. This connects to the earthquake effects on humans by destruction of man-made things. It would take several months for people to recover from a damage like this. The effect would be less if buildings and pipes would be engineered to survive an earthquake. The thought I have about this is, even though the effect of earthquakes are extreme, people might overcome the damage from an earthquake.
Imagine there is no way to find out how big an earthquake was, or if you need to find out where an earthquake occurred to send emergency supplies, how a seismograph works. When there is an earthquake very far away, the seismograph records with a pen and a large mass attached to it. The seismograph is a tool that measures and records earthquakes. When an earthquake occurs, the pen and string moves, and the pen records a scribble on a rotating drum. The bigger the seismic wave, the taller the scribble. Keith Lai explains this in a more detailed way. He writes, "When the ground shakes, the weight or mass stays still, but the pen and frame moves. The movement is then marked on a rotating drum." I wonder if future seismologists will come up with a way that they can track movement before a quake happens to give people warnings. The Richter scale. The Richter scale is a piece of equipment that scientists use to measure how big an earthquake is. On the Richter scale, a 1 is very small, most people do not notice. 2, things hanging might move. 3, indoors people feel tremors. 4, some windows and dishes will be disturbed, walls may crack. 5, most people feel dishes and windows will crumble, unstable elements may be overturned. 6, everyone feels it. Big furniture will move, plaster may fall. 7, unstable people may fall, walls may crumble. 8 and 9, total damage. First, a Chinese scientist by the name of Chang En invented a seismoscope which had a dragon in 8 different parts of a jar representing the 8 different directions. When there was an earthquake, the dragon shook and opened its mouth, and a marble fell into a toad's open mouth. Later, Luigi Palomari invented an earthquake detector where it shows which direction an earthquake happened by having mercury spill into a jar. I'm realizing that seismographs are a very important part in earthquake study. Animals and earthquakes. Animals become restless and disoriented. The thought about this is that how do animals know when an earthquake is about to occur? This makes me think that animals might be more sensitive than humans, so maybe animals can feel the P waves that humans can't. Humans can only feel the S waves, but maybe animals can feel both. Hens lay little or no eggs, bees evacuate their hives, and snakes come up to the surface out of hibernation and freeze. I wonder how can snakes feel when they are hibernating? Maybe snakes that live close to the epicenter or fault line can feel it most, or snakes are just very sensitive to strong earthquakes. Horses cower before an earthquake, and finally, animals hide and take cover before an earthquake happens.
Earthquakes are a big deal. This makes me think that if you need to do something like rescuing someone, you need to know what to do. The important thing about this is someone might be seriously injured, so you need to help them. I am realizing that if you're in this situation, you need to be as safe as possible. What surprises me about this is more earthquakes occur than we think. Over millions of tremors happen a day. The thought I have about this is a lot of people die from earthquakes, so you need to be prepared. This is giving me the idea that someone needs to come up with a solution of how to be prepared. This connects to first-hand accounts. If someone was getting interviewed on what happened, they would be saying how everybody was devastated and how a lot of people died. Imagine being trapped under rubble for days. How would you survive? In one story, two brothers were stuck under rubble and were playing card games to keep in good spirits and celebrated one of the brothers' birthdays. To survive, they ate rotten apples and what little water they had. When you are in an earthquake, you need to drop, cover, and hold on. To survive, you will need food, at least a 3-day supply, a battery-powered radio, flashlight, extra batteries, whistle to signal for help, dust mask, or a cotton t-shirt to help filter the air.
Imagine if earthquakes can demolish cities and chop down forests. Well, they can. The important part about this is that buildings fall too much than they should and cross roads. Also, aftershocks can be bad too, but the thoughts I have about this is aftershocks are not as bad as the real earthquake. Usually the biggest earthquakes are the most famous. This connects to droughts because earthquakes can make huge cracks in big water holes like rivers, lakes, and ponds. The world's largest earthquake is the 9.6 Maldivian 1960 May 22nd. It is referred to the Great Chilean Earthquake. The one with the most lives lost is Tangshan, China. 255,000 to 655,000 lives lost. The one with the most damage is Kobe, Japan. 40 billion to 150 billion damage in dollars. The most famous is California 1906 San Andreas fault, 7.9 earthquake. The San Francisco earthquake also caused a big tsunami.
Earthquakes by
Jason,
Monish,
Kyle,
Kevin.
And Zach.